Well, it might be a quarter capacity, but they are making it sound like a full house. The wait has been that long, an understandable wait, an unavoidable wait. But hopefully, not just this match, that the attendance at this match is an indication of much better times to return for watching football from within the stadium. We've done our best on television over the period. It's never quite the same, but the pictures have been there for all football fans, including, of course, His Royal Highness the Duke of Cambridge, the FA President, who will be presented to the two teams to make it a royal occasion again. But the handshakes are not yet allowed. Make no mistake, His Royal Highness knows his football, so those comments will not just be glib ones, they'll be meaningful ones, I'm sure.
There's also a hint of an Aston Villa tie, I would say.
That's his club. And the maroon, not quite claret, is it? They're in maroon, Leicester, their change strip. Fairy tale winners, as you say, Stuart, of the Premier League 5 years ago now. The other factor they've got to overcome in the FA Cup, they have never beaten Chelsea. It's time for the national anthem, sung today by Becky Hill with the backing of the band of the Coldstream Guards. Well, the coaches have made their selections. Thomas Tuchel has gone with this lineup. Kepa Arrizabalaga has been Chelsea's FA Cup keeper throughout this run, including the time under Frank Lampard, and is now in the final itself. N'Golo Conte, part of Leicester's Premier League title-winning squad 5 years ago. But Ben Chilwell, who was signed from the Foxes only last summer, has to give way today to Marcos Alonso. 6 of the 11 started the final last season. 4 of them have winners' medals from 2018. Azpilicueta, Rudiger, Conte and Alonso. Well, the key name on this Leicester team sheet is that of defender Johnny Evans, who's missed the last 2 games with a sore heel. He's very influential. Decisions were to be made on the 2 wing-backs, and Brendan Rodgers keeps faith with 19-year-old Luke Thomas, who scored in the midweek win at Manchester United. Kelechi Iheanacho is on the hottest streak of his career, 13 goals in his last 13 appearances. Jamie Vardy completes a remarkable career sequence of playing in every FA Cup round, from preliminary to the final itself. Well, he's made quite an impact. I think, Stuart, it's said himself, Thomas Tuchel, when you come in mid-season, you just have to hit the ground running. There's no time to mess about with thoughts of projects and other issues. You have to pick a team to win a game week after week, and he's been winning.
Absolutely, and I think it took him 2 or 3 weeks to find out what his best formation is, what his best team is. I think he's mixed the front players up, but he knows who his best 3 defenders are. He knows what midfield he wants to play in there. Yes, he's had Kovacic injured for a while, but it's a very good side he's put out today. Another chance for Marcos Alonso at left back, or left wing back, to get forward to great effect.
And N'Golo Kanté, the most humble of footballers, arguably one of the most dynamic of footballers. And Jamie Vardy, who lives for the moment. He's had a career that's come from very humble origins himself to be a real influence, not just for his club, but for his country. Is it going to be his day today? They used to say that refereeing a cup final was a once-in-a-career opportunity. But Michael Oliver, who's still only 36, gets a second helping. Just 3 years after the first. And he awarded the penalty by which Chelsea beat Manchester United 3 years ago. The players take the knee, emphasising again football's adamant opinion and right opinion. There is no room for racism. So Leicester in the change strip get the 2021 FA Cup final underway. Two very close rivals in the Premier League. What will separate them here? It's got to be finished on the day, of course. The days of replays are long gone. And here's Werner, who had a very good semi-final and an early touch for Kasper Schmeichel.
It was good play from Azpilicueta. He got on the throw-in very quickly, and he looks to be the surprise. It's a surprise where he's played. He's going to play as right wing-back, and James is going to play infield, probably to mark Jamie Vardy's movement.
Yes, one thing about Thomas Tuchel, he has some very good players at his disposal, but he will set up a team looking at the strength of the opposition. It is a surprise, you're right.
Well, go back to last year, it was Azpilicueta that had problems with Aubameyang, wasn't it?
Thiago Silva, cool as a cucumber, lets it run behind. Jose Perez has got the nod from Brendan Rodgers over James Maddison. But by and large, the teams, apart from that positional tweak you've just mentioned, as you would have thought a couple of days ago. Ziyech, the running power of Werner again. They were excellent, those two, in the semi-final, and they shocked Manchester City. Two narrow games on the scoreline, both 1-0. And Chelsea City was not in front of a crowd, but the Leicester semi-final against Southampton was, but smaller than this. It's starting to feel that the big games are going to have the big backing again. It's lovely.
And Tuchel hasn't quite gone with the formation that he went with in the semi-final against Man City. It looks though Ziyech is going to play on the left-hand side, Mount on the right, and Werner will play through the middle. It's very much a front two, wasn't it, in that game against Man City?
Here's Marcos Alonso, who was really brought back in from the cold, as was Tony Rudiger here after the departure of Frank Lampard, who'd rather given up on those two. Oh, that's Soyuncu with a swing and a miss at no cost. And what a day for the Schmeichel family. Kasper following in his father's footsteps. Peter won it 3 times. Once against Chelsea. Back in 1994, when he kept a clean sheet. If Kasper does that today, it will be that Leicester are going home with the cup. On the other end, it's Kepa Arrizabalaga. And Vardy's cross didn't really test him.
Yeah, I think the assistant was about to put his flag up if something had developed there. It was just offside when the ball was played, Jamie Vardy. But it was Azpilicueta that gave the ball away, trying to play infield. Leicester pressing the ball.
"43 different names on the Roll of Honour in this competition. It's the 140th final, remember. And those names do not include Leicester City. Can they be number 44 by the end of the day? Risky from Rudiger. Thomas steps in. Tielemans. One back in the style that Leicester fans know only too well from N'Golo Kanté. He just had that one season up in the East Midlands. And he moved to Chelsea, and immediately they won the league as well. Ziyech. his first season in the English game, and a Moroccan international playing in an FA Cup final. On from Werner. Mason Mount on the chase. Here's Ziyech. Now Alonso. And last Saturday got the winning goal at Manchester City in the Premier League. A big result for Chelsea. Beaten them twice in 3 weeks. And of course, they play them again in the Champions League final. Jorginho. Here is Reece James venturing forward, not from right wing back, but from right of the Chelsea back three. Azpilicueta. Jorginho. Into Conte. And Chelsea get a corner.
Good start from Chelsea. Good movement. Mount and Werner swapping positions a couple of times. Soyuncu's having a big problem as the left-sided centre-back in that back three for Leicester.
Well, Chelsea have been successful from set pieces this season, particularly corners. Marcos Alonso brings extra height in there compared to Ben Chilwell. Thiago Silva is going to have a free run at this. And Chelsea have to settle for a throw.
Yeah, good defensive header from Johnny Evans. Height and distance on that.
Clever throw. And now just trying to take that on the half turn in a position which would have been very, very dangerous to Leicester.
And that's why Reece James is playing there. That ball played forward up against Jamie Vardy. Reece James probably the quickest Chelsea player, I would say.
He'll be right up there.
Along with maybe Timo Werner.
Mount and Soyuncu doing battle again. And it's another corner for the London club.
Right decision by the assistant on that far side.
Some nice quotes from Mason Mount's father, a former non-league player himself, saying, take the loser's medal from last year and look at it and make sure you don't come home with another one. Here's a chance to hit back, and Chelsea have done that in this competition in the last few years. Ziyech with a deep corner. Back in by James. Schmeichel stays on his line. Leicester struggling to clear this. And grateful, Stuart, for the free kick.
Yeah, they've been outplayed in this first 7 or 8 minutes. Just need to get a foothold in the game here, Leicester.
I suppose indirectly they were responsible for Thomas Tuchel coming in to be Brendan Rodgers' rival in this game, because the last league game Frank Lampard was in charge of was at the King Power Stadium.
That's happened with a few Chelsea managers over the years, I think.
It certainly happened to Jose Mourinho. Ended his second spell at the club. That was direct. That was pretty much straight afterwards. Frank Lampard actually had a game in this competition in the 4th round, which turned out to be his final game. That was at the weekend following the midweek loss at Leicester. Well, just it's given Jamie Vardy a little bit of a smile there. He needs to get into the game, of course. He'll be hovering against Chelsea's back line as to whether one pass might get him on one of those typical runs. Conte. Jorginho. Tony Rudiger's done well coming forward down that sort of inside left channel from the back. With optimism, he's not done well there. He's given it away to Ndidi. Here's Ayoze Perez. Oh, the teenager Thomas. What a goal he got at Old Trafford in midweek. And that's a pretty decent pass as well. Took a bit of sturdy defending from James.
And that's exactly why he's playing in that position. Thomas just bending that ball in behind him. He had enough pace and enough strength just to hold off Jamie Vardy here. Just steps across him. Good strength. Excellent defending. Jorginho,
who was responsible really for Chelsea's midweek defeat in the Premier League against Arsenal with a stray back pass. It wasn't quite an own goal because Arisa Balaga fished it from the line, but Arsenal followed up to score. Evans. Vardy, whose goals tally personally has dropped off with Iheanacho alongside him, but he's been helping in other ways, and he is really the talismanic figure that Leicester may well need on an occasion such as this one. They can win this trophy for the first time, but we've already seen the calibre of the opposition that they face, and they're battle-hardened Chelsea in this competition. If they win, it will be for the 9th time. That would make them 3rd in the all-time list, behind Arsenal first, Manchester United second. They're currently level with Tottenham on 8 successes apiece. Chelsea. Evans. Now Wesley Fofana. He's fading away from Castagna's run. It's a foul by Söyüncü. It's a ball that he really didn't need to go in, try and win there.
He's got a problem because Mount is finding space. He's about 10 yards deeper than Söyüncü. Söyüncü's going in with him at times, and then that's leaving the space for Timo Werner to run in behind him. It's been called out a couple of times, Söyüncü. He's looking across at Brendan Rodgers. What does he want him to do? He's got a slight problem at the moment.
Leicester feeling their way into the game a little bit. Tielemans penalised here, feeling Jorginho's ankle.
Yeah, it's a late challenge. Jorginho just knocking the ball away at the last minute. Such a key player for them, Tielemans. He's been brilliant over the course of the season.
Here's Conte. No, Mateo Kovacic for Chelsea was sent off in the final, you might recall, last season. He's on his way back from a hamstring injury, but just hasn't happened quickly enough, the recovery. This is what I mean about Rudiger. He has to go back, though, to Jorginho. Ziyech. Not a shot in anger yet in the 140th FA Cup final, but there's a cross of some merit from Hakim Ziyech. He added his winning goal here against Manchester City in the semi-final with a Premier League goal against the same opponents at the Etihad Stadium last Saturday. Had a rather injury-hit start to his career at the club after his move from Ajax. He's shown much more signs of why they bought him over the last month or two. It's quite a difficulty for Frank Lampard, Stuart, wasn't it, to bed in a number of high-profile, expensive players at the beginning of this season.
And as you said, one or two of them were carrying injuries when they came into the season as well. Ziyech being one of them. Kai Havertz took a little time to get going, didn't he?
And he had a very bad bout of coronavirus.
Yep.
Had a loss of weight that he didn't have to lose, if you see what I mean. One of those players with almost zero body fat. Conte. Jorginho, knowing that Rudiger will come forward into this space, and what do Leicester do about him? Well, not too much. There was a game up at the KP a couple of years back, a 2-2 draw, and he scored both Chelsea's goals in that game. Might have been a memory or two that he bought into in the build-up to today.
Yeah, just slices across that one, but you're absolutely right. At times he's got the freedom of the park to come forward. Iheanacho and Vardy are playing up front together. If Chelsea switch the play quickly to their wide centre-halves, they can get out.
Fofana. That win was back in January, the last Premier League game Frank Lampard was in charge of Chelsea. It was the first time Brendan Rodgers, who really cut his teeth in coaching circles with Chelsea, had actually beaten the club that gave him a real leg up in the game. At the 16th attempt. He's got a chance here to make it 2-2. Alonso. Awkward for Werner. And even for Mount with his fine technique. Sancho. Tielemans. Castagna might have to run on Alonso here. Poor Vardy pokes it goalwards. He's certainly in the kind of place where he's fashioned enough chances down the years. Great break down the right from Tim Castagna.
Yeah, Castagna does really well. Watch him come and spin on Alonso here. There it is. Spins on him, gets in behind him. Vardy knows he can't go to the near post, just holds his run. But in the end, it's a good block from James. Almost with his right thigh.
Alonso's header. Conte. Tidied up by Evans, who played for a long time for Manchester United without ever really establishing himself as a go-to guy at the back. That has shown why United saw so many good things in him. His subsequent career has really matured in his time with Leicester City. Very, very important that his name did appear on the team sheet after those doubts over the last few days.
Yeah, what people don't realise as well, that he's a very good passer of the ball. Johnny Evans, when he's playing out from the back, makes good decisions.
James. Swept infield by Azpilicueta, and there is the aforementioned Johnny Evans giving away the free kick. Went all the way with Timo Werner.
Well, that's a ball we see so often now. When it goes into wing-backs, they just play it round the corner, and that's what Azpilicueta did into the front players. He can't win the ball, Johnny Evans. Just has to be patient.
Well, noise levels are good, but in the second half, the teams will be attacking the goals behind which their fans are. It should add a few more decibels. But it's cheers that have been stuck in the throat for such a long period for these supporters of two great clubs. They can give vent to their emotions now. Yeah, Leicester fans pleased with Fofana there with that tackle. Iheanacho, though, dispossessed by Marcos Alonso. Jorginho.
And it is Chelsea that have had most of the possession, as you just saw there, 70% of the ball. As yet, haven't created too much with it.
Let's come to Iheanacho. He wasn't really expecting that. Lurking on the right-hand side. Challenge by Rudiger. Leicester fans not happy. The Chelsea fans delighted. It was fair enough.
Yeah, it was fair enough. Iheanacho tried to make the most of that situation.
Azpilicueta trying to get there. Actually scored the first Chelsea goal of the Thomas Tuchel era. Iheanacho. Oh, big shout for handball, and on the say-so of the assistant, maybe. Michael Oliver might have seen it himself. And Thiago Silva just getting this slightly wrong there.
Well, it's a good touch for Iheanacho. He'd been in behind Thiago Silva as well. What you didn't see there was the movement of Iheanacho. He came and spun on Rudiger. Rudiger lost him completely. Just expecting Thiago Silva to get round on the cover.
Traditionally, FA Cup final Saturdays have been hot, the first sunshine of the summer. But it's a day with rain in the air. Summer's fallen. Leicester trying to make it dark clouds for Chelsea here. Thomas leaves it. Tielemans puts it across, and it was a little bit of a chance for Söyüncü. Got the winner at Old Trafford in midweek. Couldn't keep this one down.
Well, looking at it again, I would say this was a big chance for him. They didn't quite get their runs right here. They ran offside, then the next ball came in. Does he get a nudge in the back from Alonso? Not really. It's actually Johnny Evans that gets in his way with the high boot.
Here is Alonso. Just about kept it in. Got a little bit more room to consider a pass this time. Up towards Mount. That's a delightful touch as the rain starts to fall. Mount has the shot. Could have deflected to Werner, could have deflected to Ziyech, who tries to regain possession here. An intriguing first 20 minutes. Pretty much set up like for like. Both with three at the back and wing backs that they hope will provide. Castagna's just done that down beneath us for Leicester.
The player that's just struggling to get involved in the game is Perez for Leicester. We thought he might be playing behind the front, so he's playing to the left-hand side of Jamie Vardy. He just hasn't got involved in the game so far.
And back passes become a little bit more of a problem as the rain starts to fall. On this lush Wembley surface. Jorginho. Players will enjoy it. Some cup finals down the years have been played at walking pace towards the end, with cramps kicking in. This has an autumnal feel to it. Werner. Alonso. Ziyech back for Alonso again. Well, the Chelsea fans are a long way away from that, going for a penalty from the other end of the ground. Jorginho.
Well, they've decided not to press Jorginho. And Didi and Tielemans are playing that little bit deeper.
It was Mount, it's not far away. With the confidence, it got a deflection on the way too. They've got another corner.
Well, there's the ball played in. Söyüncü again has got a problem. Mount goes past him far too easily. Goes past Ndidi as well, and there's the deflection off Fofana. He did well just to come across there.
You called it early, Stuart. Mason Mount is finding room at Söyüncü's expense.
He doesn't want to come out really from that centre-half position, but he's having to. And when he does, then the space behind him is being exposed by Timo Werner.
Ziyech to take the corner. And Schmeichel with a greasy ball was actually able to catch it pretty comfortably. It's good work on the cover by N'Golo Kanté.
Well, we were lucky enough to cover those Champions League games against Real Madrid, and he was brilliant, wasn't he? N'Golo Kanté in both matches. Great energy, good on the ball, made things happen. Will he have the same effect today?
And Chelsea won well enough on aggregate. Should have won by more, really. Should have won both legs. A little bit impetuous from Rudiger. Can occasionally be like that. It was actually in Madrid where he got the facial injury. That means the mask is still needed.
What Chelsea are doing, they're almost saying to Rudiger, you can get as tight as you like to Iheanacho. Thiago Silva's going to play almost like a sweeper, and James is going to play up against Vardy at times.
Ndidi. Fofana. It's taken to English football very quickly. Here is Jose Perez. And now Tielemans, the shot's on, and he had another stride into it, actually. Probably that wasn't the wisest decision. It might not have been blocked if he'd gone with the first touch. Iheanacho losing out. Ziyech. Into Werner. A collision. Not seen as Ndidi's fault.
Yeah, I think Ndidi's frustrated because he read exactly what Timo Werner was going to do there.
Jorginho. Evans wins the header. Prodded forward by Söyüncü. James came in. And Michael Oliver saying there was an advantage here. I'm not sure there was much of an advantage. He pointed that Leicester had the ball. Look where they've got it now. Jose Perez. Söyüncü will be part of Turkey's squad for the upcoming delayed European Championship, which Wembley, of course, is a major venue. Ndidi just playing their way. Haven't had too much opportunity to put a few passes together. Or longer towards Iheanacho. Thiago Silva read it.
There it was again. He ran in behind Iheanacho.
Here's Werner. Not his stronger side, and certainly not his most successful shot.
Well, he should do better here. It's a good win in the air. They play around the midfield. There's Conte getting forward again. Johnny Evans is almost pushing him onto his right-hand side. It's a poor effort in the end, and he knows it.
He's a very demonstrative coach, Thomas Tuchel. He's nicknamed the Professor. You could apply that to Brendan Rodgers as well. Deep-thinking men about the game of football. Here's Werner with another chance. Opts to pass it to Ziyech. It's over Werner. And, Mason Mount settles for the throw. I remember last season in the cup final, Chelsea actually went ahead. Christian Pulisic, who's on the bench today. Conte adds to the Chelsea corner count. Ziyech across to take it again.
Well, Thiago Silva, in those couple of games we talked about against Real Madrid, he won some balls in the air from set plays, arriving late.
He has scored in the Premier League this season, the oldest Premier League scorer. It's a decent ball. Leicester lined up well on the edge of that goal area. It's going to come back at them. Maybe by a different route for a better angle. Back by Thiago Silva, and it's just touched away. Where Azpilicueta, if that touch hadn't happened, might well have knocked it in.
Well, what a great ball it was from Thiago Silva. They worked it well down the right-hand side. Good cross came into the box. When it comes to Thiago Silva, he just lifts it in there, and I think Werner gets a slight touch on that. just here.
Yeah, takes it away from Azpilicueta.
I'm not sure whether Azpilicueta would have been offside, mind you.
Yeah, we have got VAR today. Some of you will be delighted with that, and some of you less so. Coming up to the half-hour mark, already an intriguing battle here between two of the top four in England's Premier League for silverware itself, the FA Cup. Such a prized trophy. It was interesting to hear before the game Hakim Ziyech was selected by Chelsea to talk about his teammates. It was quite interesting. Of Werner, he said he is very German.
And he actually said it 3 times.
He did. And one thing that did surprise me, I certainly didn't know it, even with the proximity we're allowed to this level of football, that Jorginho is the crazy guy in the dressing room. A model of calmness usually on the football field.
Particularly when he's taken a penalty.
Yeah. Might be needed later on.
Yeah, the midfield two haven't been working together so far. Tielemans and Ndidi, and maybe Johnny Evans has got a problem. Just limping there.
Hope it's not a recurrence of the problem that he's had over the last week or so.
I think he might have just signalled to the bench there. Yeah, he's got a problem, big problem.
Well, that is heartbreaking for any player, but injuries are a part of this wonderful game we have, but also more so this season, you feel, because of the intensity of the schedule.
Well, how would they change this?
It looked like Albrighton was warming up. I guess maybe Castagna could go into the back three.
Yeah, that's what he has been doing, isn't it? He's been going into the back three. Everybody would then probably just move across one. And Albrighton would come and play on this right-hand side as a wing-back. Right on cue, he was the player that was talking about the Leicester teammates.
He was. The heart goes out for Johnny Evans. Been brilliant for them since signing. A lot of clubs with perhaps greater resources have shown an interest in him, but he opted for Leicester, and Brendan Rodgers was an ideal coach for him. He missed out at Manchester United in terms of cup finals, but Mark Albrighton had missed out on the original 11 today, who's played in most of the games recently, is going to get a good chunk of this final. One of the, as Evans says, his farewells for today, one of Leicester's heroes of the title-winning season 2015-2016. There aren't so many of them left now. Mark Albrighton was one of them, and he's on.
And coming over to the right wing-back position, Castagna has gone to right-sided centre-half. Fofana in the middle now. Sancho staying where he is.
Conte. And here's Marcos Alonso working well with Mason Mount. Fires it across, but wasn't quite the direction. Azpilicueta has to chase back. Now James. Always a sense, Stuart, of history being made before our eyes on occasions like this. Who's going to be the hero? Who's going to be the one that's talked about in 50 years' time as the man who decided the 2021 FA Cup final. Although history can be a bit cruel, and if you know your FA Cup history, the Matthews final of 1953, Stan Mortensen got a hat-trick. And it wasn't his final. But
that was the game where Spurs in a replay beat Manchester City, and everybody talks about Ricky Villa's goal.
Yep. That was 40 years ago yesterday, I think.
He was taken off in the first game and had a very lonely walk around the stadium to get to the dressing rooms.
Yes, it was a replay, of course, then. There's a challenge by Castagna. And another one, and the card is out for the second incident, I think.
Yeah, I think it's Fofana that's got the yellow card. Just taking a little time to settle down here. When Mark Albrighton came on, he was played around. First little bit of action. Here's the challenge from Castagna, and that was the second one from Fofana.
Castagna was waving. I think, don't give a free kick against me, but I don't think he could have got Fofana off the hook. But here is Rudiger. Back to the 36-year-old Thiago Silva. James. He's played here a fair bit in his career, for Chelsea and of course for England. Castagna. Iheanacho.
Well, the Leicester fans weren't happy with Ndidi there. Could have switched the play out to that left-hand side much quicker than he did. Went backwards with his pass.
Thomas, the local boy, gets involved here, and they have progressed with Ayoze Perez. Ndidi. Castagna. Mount knocks it forward for Chelsea, backed by Soyuncu. And Thiago Silva. Up goes Castagna. Albrighton, there's a good cross through the ball. Not the best angle for front men from that deep, though. Lovely play by Mount. And Ndidi came across and won it fairly. Caught Mount on his blind side. Fans trying to play their part. I think the Leicester fans realising that their side hasn't got into too many dominating positions in terms of possession. They had a sniff of a chance through Jamie Vardy.
When they won the Premier League, they were very much a counter-attacking side, weren't they? But under Brendan Rodgers, they do like to control the game and play out from the back.
Yeah, possession-based. There's room for the long ball from Fofana. It's not a great one. And Reece James recognised that he got time to control. Werner. Ziyech and Mount have switched sides for the moment.
Just at the moment, it looks much easier for Chelsea to get it into their front three than it does for Leicester to get it into Iheanacho and Jamie Vardy.
Chelsea did knock Leicester out of the competition in the quarter-final last season. Oh, from Ross Barkley, who's been out on loan at Aston Villa. Clipped by Kasper Schmeichel, a clever take by Iheanacho, and the kind of ball that Vardy was probably dreaming about last night to get him in behind Chelsea, but at the other end it might happen against Leicester. Ziyech for Werner, still Timo Werner. Fofana did very well. He gets the appreciation of the fans behind that goal, and They roar as Leicester get a free kick, and Thomas is dumped on the ground unfairly. He's coming to Timo Werner on his weaker foot so far in this game. I'm not talking about the tackles, although it does apply.
He's actually trying to pull out the tackle, isn't he, Timo Werner? Thomas wanted to win the ball. Here's the chance you were talking about. Fofana does really well to get across there. May have hurt himself there, Timo Werner. Again, he's finding space, isn't he, through that inside right position. The yellow card for his troubles.
It was Werner who set up the winning goal in the semi-final for Hakim Ziyech. And those two narrow wins for these two teams last month, Stuart, might have given us a clue to the nature of this game. Not saying one will be enough, but 40 minutes and not too many chances. Tielemans for his fellow Belgian, Castagne. Albrighton. Well, Castagne got away from Marcos Alonso. The thing about Marcos Alonso is always held against him. He's not so good defensively.
And he goes to sleep defensively. A couple of times Castagne has gone short and then spun in behind him. One good pass over the top. That one he was beaten by a bit of skill from Mark Albrighton. Just wonder how many times James has played at centre-half.
Goes in here, picks it off, but gives it away to Ndidi. Thomas. Garnacho thought there might be one to chase, but Rudiger was round responsibly. Now Leicester do get a free kick. Been plenty of tenacity in the tackling here.
Well, Jorginho certainly won the ball here. He didn't, though. Just caught by Jose Perez. Chance for Leicester to bend this into around about the penalty spot area. Chelsea hold a very high line here.
Tielemans with the signal, but Thomas with the delivery, and Arrizabalaga was watching. It's Soyuncu's his second headed chance. I don't think that was as easy as the first one. He was beyond the front post.
Well, he's had a problem defensively, but he's a threat going forward, that's for sure. Yeah, he just gets too much on it. Don't think he was going to be given offside. It's a good delivery into the box from Thomas.
Needed a glance rather than a butt. Alonso. Picked on well by Ziyech. Well, that heavy shower has passed. The players, I'm sure, will be happy with the extra watering of the pitch. And a lot of football to come on this ground in the next few weeks. It's always a temptation for the ground staff to leave the ground long, the grass long. But here is Werner with a chance to run at Fofana. Again, it's a right-footed shot. It is deflected, this one. And Chelsea, who started the half with a number of corners, are going to have one late in the half as well.
Well, Ziyech isn't happy the ball didn't come to him here. Goes past Fofana, but Fofana gets back and gets something on it. Just there, must be a very slight touch.
Bottom edge, as they would say in the cricket world. He's still finding breathing a bit difficult from that collision in which he ended up getting a yellow card. Had a bit of insult to the injury.
Part zonal marking, part man marking from Leicester.
very deep, too deep. Leicester fans had a good view of that and happy about it.
And he's had some big moments in the game, hasn't he, so far? Timo Werner hasn't really made the most of them. Tactically, I think Tuchel will be the happier of the two coaches at the moment.
Yeah, they've got to let this game take care of itself before they draw up battle plans again on Tuesday to face each other. Two added minutes before half-time. Tielemans. Oh, it's a touch from Vardy again, suspiciously in an offside position, but maybe not. His movement is so darting.
Just watch this pass from Tielemans.
Yeah, he's onside, isn't he?
Absolutely. It's a great ball played in behind. We talked about the glancing header at one end. Oh, it was from Söyüncü again. That time Vardy can't get enough on it. That's the best we've seen of that man there, Tielemans.
Played at the stadium for Belgium earlier this season. Beaten by England. James. Now Azpilicueta and Conte. Let's try and keep it in. Chelsea's throw. Stuart, a quick word on the first half from you.
Well, I think Chelsea have had the better of the play. They've got their tactics right. They've found space in behind the left-sided centre-half, Söyüncü. They've dominated the midfield area. But they just haven't created enough going forward in that top third of the field. And Leicester will be quite happy with that, but not their overall performance. I think they get better in the second half, Leicester.
In a slightly sticky position here. And the former player N'Golo Conte. There's still time for one more corner. Concentration, the essence for Brendan Rodgers players. And Chelsea lined up a bit differently this time. It's still going to be a left footer, which is more likely to curl in than not. It does, but a lower variety. And that is the last act of a goalless, but certainly fascinating first half. Chelsea doing more to call the tune. Leicester with one or two moments for Jamie Vardy at the other end, and also the disappointment of losing the influential Johnny Evans to injury. Timo Werner has been a threat, but he hasn't yet come as close as Chelsea would want him to do. Söyüncü with a header from a corner and one that was just wide from a free kick as well. So Leicester have had their moments, but Chelsea just shading it in terms of the feeling. If you're looking for a winner in the second half, they will probably be a little happier in their dressing room at half-time than the opposition. But it's still all there to play for. Chelsea 0, Leicester 0.
Performance was similar in the first half. I thought they went on to win it well, and they need to improve in this second period.
Well, it's time that we got back to our commentary team at Wembley. Stuart Robson, and of course the first voice you'll hear, Martin Tyler.
Ben Chilwell comes out to warm up for the second half, but without any great signs that he's going to play against his old club. What, Stuart Robson, have you seen anything that could be the difference in the second period? I know it's a hard question, but it's been a final in the image of the two managers, really.
Yeah, I think it's been a good tactical battle. I think Thomas Tuchel got his tactics absolutely right. Made a big decision by bringing James in at that right-sided centre-half to stop the runs of Vardy. But a couple of times Vardy's come on to Thiago Silva and tried to run in behind him. They need Jose Perez to get more of the ball, because he's not doing a job to go and stop Jorginho playing. So he's in that space on the left-hand side, almost through an inside left position, but he's not getting on the ball enough to make things happen. And I just wonder whether the combination down the right-hand side of Castagna and the substitute Albrighton, Chelsea might think they can get in behind them.
Well, Leicester have already made the one change in the first half, forced on them by the problem for Johnny Evans, the recurring problem. There have been no other alterations from Brendan Rodgers, none at all from Thomas Tuchel. Just on that note, the substitutions law has changed a fair amount in the last 2 or 3 years. Extra time was allowed an extra substitute, and the very first player who benefited from that was Kelechi Iheanacho, here at Wembley, playing in a semi-final for Manchester City. But he was on the losing side that day. Now he's in the final. He's very much part of the Leicester City initiative. After a rather slow start to his career when he left Manchester City, a lot was expected of him, big fee. And he was in and out of the team, but he's finally got in the groove this campaign, and very much at the heart of how Leicester have got into this final.
He almost played one brilliant ball, didn't he, in the first half? Iheanacho, when he got himself turned on the halfway line, got away from Rudiger, one of the only times he did, and he tried to reverse the ball for the run of Jamie Vardy.
Here's James. No switch in the position of Reece James. And we put that team up at the beginning, but James is playing where Azpilicueta and turn about. Of course, a chance for Iheanacho to get Vardy in then. It was blocked quickly by the Blues. Mark Oliver having a good look at this. Iheanacho trying to roll away, maybe to try and get a free kick. So Mark Albrighton brought on for Johnny Evans. And he's certainly more of a natural winger, playing right wing back, than Castagna. Maybe he can provide the cross to turn the game Leicester City's way.
Well, he can play on both sides as well, can't he? Mark Albrighton, we've seen him play on the left-hand side, and Wick crosses in with his right foot. There's the man he's going to try and give problems to, Marcos Alonso.
Conte give Werner something to chase. Indeed, he's so good at winning the ball back for Leicester City. Bit of sunshine at Wembley. It's still chilly enough for the coaches. And Werner. Leicester scurrying back. Werner has to put the brakes on, but he's got plenty of support. And in the end, Mount couldn't cut it back or try and win a corner.
Yeah, it was a mistake by that man there for Fana to start with, but he's a pacey centre-back. There's the mistake. But he does really well to get back into a decent position here. Goes with the run of Mount and just ushers him out of play. Good defending.
I've had 18 clean sheets in 26 games under Thomas Tuchel, Chelsea. And the only way they lost on Wednesday was to concede one of the most bizarre goals of the season at home to Arsenal, which makes the visit to Stamford Bridge of this Leicester on Tuesday all the more important for both teams. Soyuncu carrying the ball like Rudiger tried to do in the first half on the very same strip of turf. And so Perez felt a bit of that. It was a ball to be fought for.
Well, he went in very fiercely here. He wanted to kick through the ball, and he actually kicked Conte, didn't he? Conte put his foot back down.
Yeah, the aggressor has come off the worst of the two. Here is Conte. Rudiger denied the chance to stretch his legs. Maybe Iheanacho has specific instructions about that. Fofana, and stolen by Alonso. And a turnover that could have cost Leicester dear, but they bite back. To fight back here. Vardy coming in, well read by Arrizabalaga. Werner.
Leicester are just starting to win some of these 50-50 challenges now. There's more intensity to their play in this second half.
And there's more noise because the teams are attacking the goal behind which are there 6,000 or so lucky supporters. Lucky to be here. And a still restricted setup. Alonso. Oh, look at the space here for Hakim Ziyech. Picture from Marcos Alonso is up in support again. Here he is. And there's another of the 50-50s, Stuart, that you mentioned. Not quite another one. It's actually seen as a foul by Tielemans.
Yeah, Jorginho got there first, just about got there first. Jorginho was screaming actually before he was touched.
James Maddison.
Well, you imagine it would be for Jose Perez, who hasn't really influenced the game so far. There he is, closing the ball down.
Conte. Forward by Jorginho. Confident touch from Ziyech. Bit of a swagger about this Chelsea attack. Conte. And Marcos Alonso. Just the hesitation by N'Golo Conte trying to size up his options. Took the swagger out of it. We were talking in the first half about the comments from their teammates about the players on each side, and Mark Albrighton talking about Leicester called Maddison a maverick. And he's certainly got talent. He is a man you feel for a big occasion. And this is a very big occasion. Ziyech. Conte again. Soyuncu this time snapping in. Conte wins it back. Azpilicueta. Just the feeling we're getting to the heart of the matter now. Mount. Still got it. Safer pass was back to Rudiger. Conte. Now Azpilicueta and James. And room for Conte here. Werner by the front post. Marcos Alonso at the back post.
It's really well worked by Chelsea, and it's the right decision by Conte to go to the far post. Alonso's always going to beat Mark Albrighton in the air. Lovely ball played by Jorginho. Deep cross. Just gets in a bit too early, I would say, Marcos Alonso. Had to just take one step back. That's why he couldn't really get the power in it.
He got both goals in a 2-1 Chelsea win at Wembley when Tottenham were leasing this stadium as their home ground. Wow, plenty of attempts, but pretty easy afternoon so far for the goalkeepers. Increasing the sense that one moment, maybe one mistake, one inspired piece of play could decide the home for the next 12 months of the FA Cup. Soyuncu. Thomas did it to the safer side of Ndidi. Soyuncu goes long. Vardy gets underneath the ball. Here's Mount. Flag is up. Fofana won the header. As you said at the time, Stuart, Wesley Fofana has played in the middle of the back three, and it's useful for Leicester that he can in these circumstances. Here's Iheanacho. Vardy loping into the middle. Tielemans with the early cross. Vardy going for it. All forwards will say the earlier the cross, the better the chance. And that stretched Chelsea.
Well, that's the ball they play so often. We saw it a couple of times in the first half. Goes back to a player on the right-hand side. Doesn't even look, just whips it in behind the defenders. Good defending, though, I would say, from Reece James. Just got in front of Jamie Vardy.
That's the feeling in the second half, increasing, that the breakthrough is not that far away. But at which end? Who knows? Leicester's chance here. Albrighton. Well, no one really attacking it at that far post. But there was a Chelsea touch, and it is a Leicester throw, and those Foxes fans are maybe sniffing out the scent of victory here.
There's a good ball played in. There was two players round the back, but it was only Alonso that actually went for it in the end.
Luke Thomas. Longish throw. And he's going to concede a corner. Down to the assistant on the far side, long way away from the incident. He kept his flag down. Chelsea tried to play out. And James hurried. Thiago Silva hurried. Might be over-exaggerating it, Stuart, but Leicester's best spell of the game?
I think so. Just starting to get that little bit tighter. I think they were nervous in the first half. Chelsea were definitely on the front foot. Brendan Rodgers has just made one or two little tweaks to the tactics, and he's going to make another one at some point with Maddison coming on, you'd imagine.
Yeah, Nacho knew what he was doing there. He drew the challenge in from Rudiger.
He's done a great job, hasn't he, at Leicester?
It's a great club to get the job at, isn't it? Obviously tinged by tragedy, the loss of the owner in that awful helicopter incident at the ground. But the family have continued their support in the memory of Khun Vichai. Building new training facilities. The recruitment players is very good. And they're showing that that 15-16 season wasn't a fluke. Remember, they won the league. They only lost 3 Premier League games in the entire season.
And that was off the back of nearly being relegated the season before.
Here goes Timo Werner. Kasper Schmeichel has 1 or 2 options, and he chooses one that's safe enough.
And he certainly had his moments in the first half. A lot of good runs in behind the Leicester back three. Just didn't make enough of them.
Castagna. Off goes Vardy. And the assistant has a awkward decision to make. He's given it as a throw. I think he was right. We're a long way away.
Well, everybody knows where that ball was going to go. Jamie Vardy's ready to run. Thiago Silva knows it's going to go in there, but he still makes it very difficult for the defender.
Chelsea trying to do what they did in 2012, just win the FA Cup and then win the Champions League, with a new manager then, Roberto Di Matteo, who didn't last very long, a former Chelsea player, of course, who scored in a cup final. But can't take that away from club history. He did that double. It was on his watch. The four-time losers in an FA Cup final. The most defeats of any club in an FA Cup final who've never won it. Can they put that to bed here? And another corner. And the roar that originates in the East Midlands is loud in northwest London.
Tielemans once again. He's going to bend this one away from the goalkeeper. Söyüncü probably the biggest threat.
Jose Perez goes out to work something different. Didn't quite come off. You can probably only do that once. And, would have caught Chelsea out if the execution had been a bit better. Here's Tielemans, though. Over Vardy was a long way out, and now is chasing back because he sees a bit of space for Chelsea to try and play out into. Closing down is good. Thomas, always great when a local boy comes through the ranks and still in his youth plays for his boyhood club. Thomas Tuchel is a novice in English football, really. First German to be in charge of FA Cup final team. It is a German striker, hasn't quite fired. It's the first half chances. There's another, of course, on the bench in Kai Havertz. Fofana clears it away.
Well, I'm sure Brendan Rodgers at some point was going to make that substitution, but now Chelsea look as though they want to bring Pulisic on.
That's the Dortmund connection, of course. Between Pulisic and the man who arrived mid-season to rejoin the American. Now here's Azpilicueta. Oh, he's got that wrong. It certainly wasn't a shot.
Yeah, I think he's trying to wrap his foot round it, and he just couldn't do it. He's finding that bit of space out wide. Thomas had to be narrow, then starts to come out. Actually gets his angles just right, didn't he, Thomas?
Jose Perez, who's been reprieved, really. We thought he was going off. Vardy beavering away at Reece James, who's been deployed really in this position to try and cope with Jamie Vardy. Can't stop him squeezing it back to Thomas. Castagna. Vardy's not chasing that one. Not until late on, anyway. And here's James. Just cut out by Jose Perez's contact. Tielemans from long distance. Oh, one of the great Wembley goals. Youri Tielemans fires the Foxes in front in the 2021 FA Cup final.
Well, what a strike that is. We mentioned in the first half, he hadn't touched the ball that much, he hadn't affected the game, but that's a great goal. What a strike. Nothing that Kepa can do about that. Now, what they are looking at, was there a handball in the build-up play? When Perez made the interception, did it hit him on the arm? Here we'll see it. Is it his knee? Is it his arm? It's the goal.
And this is a great view of it. Wham! The Wembley net bulges from the Belgians. Fantastic strike. Maybe longer odds on Leicester, but from long range, they take the lead.
Well, he just hit straight through the back of the ball. He couldn't hit that any sweeter, could he? And Leicester have been much, much better in this second half.
Well, Chelsea know only to their cost that scoring first in an FA Cup final isn't necessarily a passport to victory. But remember, goalless with plenty of possession on Wednesday in the Premier League. And here, past the hour mark. They haven't struck But maybe Ziyech will do something. It's a corner. Anything a Belgian can do, a player who comes from, although he's a Moroccan international, comes from Holland, can do as well. But not that time. They need even more maybe to get Christian Pulisic on. But they'll wait. Chelsea need to hit back. And this is, remember, one of their party pieces. It was aimed all the way out to Mason Mount. And he's still free down beneath us. Conte almost gave it away, and Michael Oliver right on the spot to say that there was no foul and Leicester can play on, as they're only too happy to do at the moment. Youri Tielemans has written his name large in FA Cup final history, whatever the outcome here. A stormer of a goal.
Well, we talked about Jose Perez not really having an effect on the game. He had a big effect on that by making that interception, didn't he? Chelsea thought it had hit him on the hand, but it was definitely off his knee.
Ziyech. Schmeichel will come and get. Very much his own man, the son of Peter. But he does have many of the same qualities. He's a feisty competitor, the Leicester captain, and his team have been feisty in this second half, and they've found a way to a Wembley goal. Maddison is coming on, but we understand not for Jose Perez, for Kelechi Iheanacho.
Here's the moment again when the ball's played forward. Chelsea claimed it to come off his arm.
Well, knee onto arm, and that is not handball under the interpretations.
And that's what it led to. A brilliant strike from Tielemans. Nothing that Kepa can do about it. I think goalkeeping experts would say he went with his wrong hand, but doesn't matter if he had three hands, he wasn't going to get there.
Iheanacho off, Maddison on, with a message for Jose Perez. Maybe they're going to play two behind one. And two for Chelsea. The scorer in the FA Cup final last season when they lost to Arsenal, Christian Pulisic. And you can hear the boos for the man they used to cheer, Ben Chilwell. Great replacement for Marcos Alonso. They'll give him a bit more, maybe speed for counter-attacking down that far side, but I'm not sure whether counter-attacking is what they're going to be allowed to do. Leicester, without drawing pressure on themselves, obviously get as many players behind the ball as quickly as possible. They have a lead to defend. The team that have never won the FA Cup. Jorginho. Rudiger. I'm not going to have to identify Chilwell, I don't think. The boos say it all. Azpilicueta. Werner will get there first. And then Pulisic, bringing a bit of speed and a bit of confidence here that Chelsea badly need in these circumstances. Jorginho. Here's Conte. Mount wants it in the D on the edge of the area. Jorginho, three or four players in that move to spurn the pass. Chilwell. James. Now Rudiger. Leicester keep Chelsea at arm's length, way back to the halfway line.
Well, the next decision for Thomas Tuchel is to decide whether to bring on Olivier Giroud if they're going to drop that deep, Leicester. and allow Chelsea to have lots of ball in these wide areas and in front of them. At some point they need to cross it.
He did that against Arsenal on Wednesday, but very late. Of course, there are extra substitutes allowed in this competition. Werner. Jorginho trying to slide it through. It's going to take precision in the passing. Pulisic. Azpilicueta. Soyuncu's challenge. He has got an impetuous, reckless moment in him, but he got that right.
Yeah, he was going to swing his left boot at that at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then just changed his mind at the last minute.
The swing of the boot would have been reckless. It's just he's one of those players, when you make a mistake in that position, it can be costly. He did one against Newcastle. They were beaten 4-2 at home by a struggling Newcastle recently, Leicester City. And the goal that got Newcastle off and running was the blame laid at the door of Chala. Soyuncu.
Yeah, I think Castagna just stepped on the ball there, just tweaked his knee.
It's not an advisable thing to do. Chelsea need to step on the gas. Jorginho. Tielemans. And there's going to be more chance for Vardy to show what he can do on the end of one long quick pass. He's got a bang, limping back into position.
Mind you, I think Brendan Rodgers has now just handed the initiative to Chelsea. He's playing Maddison on his left-hand side.
Here's Pulisic trying to get some initiative for Chelsea by his own efforts.
Yeah, I was just saying he's playing Maddison that little bit deeper on the left-hand side and Perez deeper on the right-hand side. It's going to leave Jamie Vardy up front by himself. They certainly can't press the ball now, Leicester.
Well, with Ziyech off, they had to decide on a corner taker. Chelsea, it's not another left footer. It's Reece James. Conte has stayed back and had to go all the way back. Easy for Pulisic to turn behind Maddison. Azpilicueta with the cross, wants the corner. And it is a throw, wastes no time taking it. Maddison.
He did well there, Maddison. He knew the challenge was coming in, just had his foot stamped on by Azpilicueta. There's the goal again from a different angle. Doesn't matter what angle you see it from, it's still a great goal. Hit from a long way out, right into that top corner. Kepa can't get enough of a dive on it, and that's what it means to the Leicester players.
The injured Evans, the about to come on Maddison, that was the moment. Maddison needed a bit of treatment on the pitch. No, they haven't got the physio on. He's got up and got on with it. A bit of time used up.
He must have known that was in as soon as he hit it, mustn't he?
Absolutely. They don't come along too often. Clash of heads here as Chelsea get Kai Havertz and Callum Hudson-Odoi loose. Obvious replacements in these situations.
Well, he put him in the team against Real Madrid, Thomas Tuchel, and he said because of his aerial ability. So maybe he's the player that he's going to get crosses on for.
He started the game against Arsenal and missed a chance at 0-0, which will have haunted him on the night. It was clean through. He's fired it over the bar. It's a surprise because he looks a cool customer in front of goal. There's nothing cool either end of the ground, not in the temperature sense of the word anyway. They're very heated, the Leicester fans, and it's colder than cool at the Chelsea end.
Yeah, he's having a bit of trouble, I think, Thomas, at the moment, having gone up for that header.
So Jorginho is off. Of course, there are also concussion regulations as well, if that's what is affecting Thomas. Callum Hudson-Odoi on, and they have to sacrifice the warrior-like qualities of the Chelsea captain. And he'll come on the right, and he played a fair bit more as a right wing-back for Thomas Tuchel. It's not a position that he knows particularly well, but Tuchel's been drilling him in it. More of a natural winger by trade. He needs the OK from the medics here. The concussion checks are absolutely vital, and quite a recent addition to the medical side of football, which probably far too late. If you leave it to the player, he'll always come back on. It's not just Luke Thomas's decision that he is back on. Hudson-Odoi, fouled by Ndidi. Yeah, Havertz gets the nod over Giroud. For height, Giroud has the track record and has won the FA Cup 4 times. 3 of those with Arsenal. In by James. Leicester line up to defend again. Reece James switches the point of attack. Conte. Treated much kinder by the Leicester fans than Ben Chilwell, who of course only left the club last year. Here's Pulisic. Back for Conte. Still going. He's standing it up. And Kasper Schmeichel makes a great save as Havertz tried to make a mark straight away.
What a great bit of play it was from N'Golo Conte.
So it was Chilwell who got the header to it. Goodness me. Now that would have broken the hearts of the Leicester fans.
Actually hits the post here. With a bit of help from Schmeichel, I think. Does Schmeichel get anything on it? It's just creeping in. That's a great save.
Headed by Fofana, but not out of the way. First real call to his considerable agility. Soyuncu.
Chelsea are dominating possession in the last 10 minutes, as you'd expect. Leicester getting deeper and deeper. Can they hang on here?
Hudson-Odoi judged to push over Thomas, who was halfway down anyway, but there was contact. Yes, Brendan Rodgers might just be a bit concerned that the point you've just made, Stuart, that he has invited pressure, really. Yeah, Hamza Chowdhury's a defensive midfield player, so in the dugout, up in the posh seats, the Thai ownership, hoping that this could be a historic day in the history of Leicester City Football Club, but the lead looking a little fragile, I must say.
Well, the other problem, you've put Maddison on, and then you've gone slightly more defensive. Maddison's not the player that you want chasing around the field, trying to close people down.
Far from it. And there is going to be quite a remarkable change. I think I can see on the far side a player that Brendan Rodgers hasn't been able to use since December. More on that in a moment. No Söyüncü, and that just hints a little bit of the quite panic, but concern. Chelsea will feel that they're still in very much with a shout of pulling this back in the 10 minutes or so that remain. It will be a long 10 minutes for Leicester City. Hudson-Odoi. What you don't want is to be giving away free kicks unnecessarily, and Maddison's done just that.
Well, he's got a job to do. He's closing down Reece James, then he's going back that little bit deeper to stop the likes of Pulisic finding that bit of space. It's not really his game, James Maddison.
Hudson-Odoi. Conte. Hudson-Odoi has been rather singled out recently by Thomas Tuchel. He needs to up his game. Conte. Room here for Mason Mount, blocked very well by Söyüncü for Leicester.
Yeah, that was a chance to whip the ball in behind Leicester. There's a couple of runs in the box. Chilwell getting forward down that left-hand side. Timo Werner making a good run as well, who's now going off.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Giroud. Man with a great FA Cup pedigree. 3 winners' medals with Arsenal, 1 with Chelsea. And a penalty area presence, and Leicester are going to reply in kind. Hamza Chowdhury on the right, but it's Wes Morgan, who hasn't played for Leicester since December, but of course was captain of the title-winning team. Absolutely steeped in the recent history of this club. And he, to some extent, you could argue, faces his most important 10 minutes in a Leicester shirt. Maybe his last 10 minutes, although there's still, of course, a couple of league games to come. But certainly his first 10 minutes of this calendar year.
And his first job will probably be to mark Olivier Giroud.
Thiago Silva. Rudiger trying to do what we will now call a Tielemans.
Not what was required on that occasion. He's made his substitutions now, Thomas Tuchel. They've got to get balls into the box. They're not going to play through Leicester. They've got to get it wide, get balls into the box, and hope that Havertz, Olivier Giroud can win a ball in the air. Sure, that's the way they're going to get back into this game.
Headed by Hudson-Odoi. Conte. Rudiger. Conte again. Leicester scampering. It's a one-man press from Vardy across the halfway line. And they'll try and lock on when Chelsea get it forward. Last season's losers are losing again, but there's still time to stop it. Double FA Cup final defeats. Rudiger. Thiago Silva. Giroud's on the move. Goes short to Pulisic, who wriggles free, and whether Michael Oliver played an advantage there, it didn't look to me as though it might have been a foul. Anyway, it went to Giroud, and Chelsea still had the ball, but he quickly gave it away.
Yeah, I think Pulisic actually slipped over as he was running with the ball. He's trying to get his team to play higher up the field. He was telling Ben Chilwell almost to play as a left winger.
I think he sums up the entire population of Leicester City fans in the stadium, in England, around the world. Some parts of the world they had to learn how to how to pronounce the name Leicester. Vardy, here goes Vardy. Leicester get a corner.
Well, that's what he does so well. Just making it so difficult for Thiago Silva there. There was a hint of a foul, but the referee's allowed him to get away with it. He hasn't had too many touches, has he, Vardy? But he's still worked very hard.
And the touches have all been in areas where you think something might happen for Leicester. The man who's played every round from the preliminary through the qualifying rounds, through the early rounds before the top teams come in, right through to the final itself. It's too deep the corner, unless you happen to be Hamza Chowdhury for Leicester. Puts the wicket back in, a little flick from Vardy. He knew what he was trying to do. Probably wasn't in Chowdhury's mind for that to unfold. 5 minutes. He is leading from the front. He's chewing away. Conte, Pulisic. Remember, extra time available if Chelsea equalise. Hudson-Odoi. Out by Fofana, but not very far. Rudiger. Now James. Hudson-Odoi. James. Giroud and Havertz. Oh, what reach! It was a great shot by Mason Mount. Schmeichel flung himself to his left. Is he wondering it's not going to be Chelsea's day again at Wembley?
He's just made 2 world-class saves. First from the header from Chilwell. That's even better. What a save that is from Schmeichel.
He stays on his line though, leaving others to try and get the head to it. And Schmeichel, oh, he's dropped it. He's caught it again. Living up to the family name, Kasper is a goalkeeper in his own right.
What a save. Yeah, I think most keepers might get to it, but he just gets a strong hand on it, doesn't he?
Yeah, it was through a ruck of players. Mason Mount might have hit it a little wider, but he couldn't have connected cleaner. He's always got something to say for himself, Kasper, as well. But, play restarted. Sportingly by Chelsea. Chilwell had absolutely no alternative. He's already getting lambasted. No wonder he's playing in the other half of the pitch.
That's not the best kick from Schmeichel, straight out of play. Castagne's now playing on the left-hand side. He's playing as the left wing-back, or it's now a back 5, really, for Leicester. He's going to be up against Hudson-Odoi when he goes forward. Just showing his versatility again, isn't he, Castagne?
Morgan's job, as you say, just to win the headers. And keep Havertz and Giroud in particular away from dangerous positions. 2 minutes plus stoppage time. There'll be a reasonable chunk of that, which will be good news for Chelsea fans. Oh, and it's gone in. And was it Ben Chilwell? He certainly came in with the first one. 1-1. The FA Cup has lost none of its magic. Thrills, an amazing goal at one end, an extraordinary goal in a completely different sense in another end. It could even have been an own goal, but it's a goal for Chelsea. That's what matters.
What a pass this is from Thiago Silva. There's a question mark. Could he be offside? I don't think he was. He was level, and it actually is kicked back into him.
It's just bounced in off Chilwell, but the offside call will be checked.
It's a tight call as well, really tight call. I think he's going to be given offside here. Well, maybe not. Still waiting, we're still waiting. But what a pass that was from Thiago Silva.
It's disallowed at Wembley. Is the name Leicester City written on the FA Cup? The former Leicester player forced the ball into Kasper Schmeichel's net, but he was just offside. Wow. Wow.
There it is again. We're talking inches, aren't we? So tight.
On the lean, isn't it?
Looked to be a good run to start with from Chilwell. He made that run from outside to in. Brilliant pass from Thiago Silva.
No, Thomas, no. 5 added minutes. Can Chelsea come again? James. Here's Maddison. Vardy's got to get back on side. He has done that, I think. No, he hasn't. And James pushes him over. And Leicester want James to be at least reprimanded for that. The player who actually lost his head at the end of an England game here when England were beaten by Denmark, and he was red carded playing for his country after the final whistle. Rudiger. Isn't this an amazing competition, Stuart? It has to compete with so many others now. The riches of the Premier League, the glamour of the Champions League, and great riches there as well. But it stands up for itself every season, and what a climax this is bringing.
Well, every tackle's going to be cheered by those Leicester fans now.
Giroud goes for it, and Schmeichel decides to let it go for a goal kick, which will take a little bit longer, but goalkeepers always have to weigh up how much time the referee will add on to the added time because of their dilly-dallying.
Yeah, and Soyuncu's going to take a time getting up here.
Youri Tielemans has been named man of a match that at the moment he is deciding, but is not yet over. Rudiger. Soyuncu. Impressive challenge by Kai Havertz.
That's exactly what Leicester wanted. Havertz jumping into Soyuncu. Soyuncu's going to make the most of it, of course he is.
Yeah, and Havertz, maybe his fellow countryman, the manager Thomas Tuchel, saying, well, why give it? Why do you give away? Don't foul in those. We can't give away free kicks. Foxes never quit. That's the message from this end of the ground. The real one's not too far away. Schmeichel kicks it out, but well away from his goal.
Well, Maddison's got a touch. He just got a very, very good block in there.
Conte has to try and get it forward. Castagne's there, hooked on by Ndidi. Vardy is onside, and quite happy to let that run for a corner.
Well, they've surely got to take this short, haven't they? Soyuncu's making his way up to the box. I'm not sure that's the best idea.
I think the message has just reached him.
Yeah.
It's going nowhere near the box. Tielemans. Chelsea's throw.
That wasn't particularly clever, was it?
No, you can keep it for longer than that if you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Chelsea have lost a lot of shape. They've made substitutions. There's no real shape to their team now.
Well, the crowd's to some extent back today, and they've played a big part in this. But the crowd pleasers seemingly are Leicester City. Maddison. Back with Chelsea and Thiago Silva. One last chance for Callum Hudson-Odoi. Vardy might get there first. He's fouled James, or Chelsea have got the ball still. Here's Pulisic. And Conte. It's the last roll of the dice for Chelsea. Chilwell. And that's what Wes Morgan's in there for. Vardy still mustering a one-man press up towards Giroud again. Soyuncu's there. Maddison can't get there. Hudson-Odoi. Foul. No, it's over. It's over. Leicester City land the FA Cup for the first time in their history. Irish eyes are smiling for Brendan Rodgers, but this will go down, Stuart Robson, as the Tielemans Cup final.
Absolutely. We said they'd come on stronger in the second half, and that's exactly what they did. They played with more urgency, they pressed the ball higher up the field until they went 1-0 up, and Tielemans, in the first half, he didn't affect the game. In the second half, he was much better, and what a strike that was. And great management from Brendan Rodgers. He's done brilliantly with this Leicester side, and he made 2 world-class saves.
Brendan Rodgers has put the Foxes on this historic roll of honour. The Thai ownership, with the tragic events of a couple of years ago, even more committed, and the players have done them proud. Wes Morgan came on to be a part of it against all the odds. And yes, Leicester are above Chelsea in the league table, but in terms of FA Cup achievements, they're nowhere near them. But now they've become the 44th different name on this trophy. And what a dramatic way to do it. Ben Chilwell, of course, had the goal disallowed right at the end. VAR has played a part. But Leicester City, their day. Chelsea 0, Leicester 1.
Well, what drama, what extraordinary second half drama. Youri Tielemans with, well, we saw the top 10 FA Cup final goals at half-time. That's going straight in, isn't it? Wonderful hit from Tielemans. As Martin said, the Tielemans Cup final, but Clive with VAR involved as well. Chelsea fans going through every emotion. What an astonishing second half.
A quite incredible second half. It was a game, that a FA Cup final, that had everything. A slow start. Chelsea were the better in that first period, but Leicester City and Brendan Rodgers and the way that his team grew into the game, and what a spectacular winner. A magnificent strike from Tielemans, worthy of winning any cup final, and the first time that Leicester City have won this magical trophy.
5th time lucky for sure, and what a display. It will almost get lost in amongst the drama at the end, but what a display from Kasper Schmeichel. 2 wonderful saves towards the end.
Yeah, 2 quite brilliant saves. One down to his right-hand side, right at the post, and then a beautifully struck half volley that he palmed away at full stretch with his left. Brilliant goalkeeping.
And look at these scenes as well, in front of a crowd of all things. Yes, a crowd at a football match, a crowd at the cup final. And the Leicester fans, of course, staying behind to enjoy every moment.
This is for real, isn't it? This is what football is about. The relationship between these players, their supporters. This victory, fantastic.
Absolutely. And of course, sympathies go to Chelsea, but when you see what it means to a club like Leicester, it somehow makes the whole thing feel all the more special, doesn't it?
Well, it is special. It's special for that man. It's special for the supporters. It's very, very special to those players. You can see how happy he is, and rightly so. Wonderful performance from the captain, Schmeichel. Maddison played his part coming on late on, as he did in the semi-final. I felt that was a clever substitution from Brendan Rodgers.
And for Brendan Rodgers as well, after this fantastic season of achievement, of Champions League right in view, and how big that game seems now between them again in this coming week. But silverware is what it's about, and for him to pick up this famous old trophy is so special for him too, Clive.
Yeah, goes down in history, and you can see the emotions are running high. The disbelief on some of those Leicester City supporters' faces, but they're going to enjoy it. It's no place to be, Wembley, when you're, and I've experienced it myself, when you've lost. You just want to get out of there as quick as you can. It is all about the winners.
Huge smile. He still can't quite believe it, Brendan Rodgers. Coach that started at Chelsea and expressed beforehand how much that club still meant to him, so of course he'll have sympathy. But there is the man of the moment, Youri Tielemans. A quiet first half, and he's not known particularly as a goal scorer. That's not why he's in the side, but it was a strike of pure quality. And let's not forget as well, in terms of the VAR, it went Leicester's way there as well. Ayoze Perez with the block that hit him on the arm, but the goal stood. And then of course the Chelsea goal late on didn't stand. And Leicester will feel that fortune was smiling on them, and maybe someone was looking down on them as well, Clive.
Yes, I think, you know, they've deserved their victory today. It is a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere with the supporters, with the players, certainly with the boss and with the people who own the club. It really has been a special, special moment for him and his club.
And everyone watching around the world, and all of us are fans. We've been in that situation. Not all of our clubs have won the FA Cup, but you know what that emotion feels like, and just to see it on the faces of other fans means a great deal, certainly to me watching on, and I know it will to you wherever you're watching us here. Just to see fans, to see these scenes, and to see the joy and the emotion, and of course a different kind of emotion for Chelsea fans today, but you just want to take a little part of this and then go forward with it. And we know that soon we'll be back with full stadia and these emotions all the time.
Dave, it's the greatest cup competition in the world, and it never fails to disappoint. It is absolutely incredible, quite magical, and we've seen evidence of that once again today. The magic of the FA Cup.
And for those cynics who say that it's often played out between the traditional big clubs these days, well, a win for Leicester, who have become a big club, of course, with achievement and investment, but having tried 4 times and having lost, it feels so special to them. Their fans who've watched them for years probably can't quite believe they're watching on. I wonder what Bobby Roberts is feeling now. We heard from him before the game as well. 4 times previously they've been asked and they've come up short, but on the 5th time of asking, Leicester City do it with one of the famous FA Cup final goals, a glorious strike from Youri Tielemans, and now that makes it feel real. There is the grand old trophy that soon will be in the hands of Leicester City. Take a big deep breath, all of you, and just soak up every single moment of this. Let's get back for the presentation to Stuart, and first of course to Martin.
The Leicester players are still, I think, Stuart, disbelief. The scenes at the final whistle. I mean, we see lots of celebrations, trophies won, lots of big games, but this was a group that represented the history of the football club, and didn't they know it?
Absolutely. Complete joy, great emotions out there, brilliant scenes, running to their fans that saw them win the title, the Premier League 5 years ago. They haven't won much else over the years, but today they stuck in there. They didn't play at their best in the first half. They were outplayed, I thought, by Chelsea, but they showed great character. The manager made 1 or 2 good substitutions. Albrighton, who came on in the first half, had to come on in the first half, played well. And Castagna, you have to give him credit. He played at right-sided centre-half, he played at right wing-back, he played at left wing-back. They all played their part in an excellent victory.
And Chelsea come second for a second successive season. It's not been a great week for them. Another 1-0 defeat after their loss at home to Arsenal. And don't forget They play each other again, these two, on Tuesday. Revenge will be in their minds. Ben Chilwell will want to have a look at that VAR call. And that would have been a totally different story, a former Leicester player equalising and snatching maybe the trophy from the grasp of his old mates.
Well, it just added to the drama, didn't it? The Chelsea players were going mad, the Chelsea fans were going mad. They thought they'd equalise with a couple of minutes to go, but it wasn't to be, just offside.
Well, those are the two. Tielemans with a stunning shot. And Kasper Schmeichel with 2 saves. To just remind everyone that he is Kasper Schmeichel, not son of Peter Schmeichel, although he is, if you see what I mean. The togetherness, the harmony, the investment and recruitment has been done with real insight. And they have in Brendan Rodgers a manager with a strong belief in the right way to win football matches. And they've done it the right way here. Yeah, you do need a bit of luck to win an FA Cup. Maybe they had that in the first half, but Jamie Vardy in the middle of it all. Vardy and the rest of them are going to have a party, at least on the pitch. They'll have to start thinking about Tuesday earlier than they would want to. But you do get a trophy for winning this one.
Oh yeah, Nacho, he played his part, didn't he, in getting Leicester to the final. He wasn't probably at his best today, but he scored that all-important goal in the semi-final against Southampton. Everybody at Leicester has played their part. Soyuncu had a very difficult first half, was excellent in the second half.
Yeah, restraint in certain challenges where anything a little more impetuous would have maybe damaged Leicester. So His Royal Highness will have enjoyed that from a neutral perspective, an Aston Villa perspective. Maybe from the West Midlands you take a different view of the East Midlands, where Leicester City of course come from. It's a royal occasion, a right royal occasion for these players. And they recognise the man behind it all, the brains of Brendan. And there's talk of other clubs wanting to take him. Why would he leave?
Well, he can't leave at the moment because he's done a magnificent job at Leicester. They've got great harmony, well, they seem to have. He's got a group of players that I think are getting better and better. And I don't think we saw the best of them today. I've seen them play much better this season. But when it mattered, they just had that character, didn't they?
Yeah, they're not a team known for gritty wins, are they? And yet that's just what they've supplied here today. But took a glorious goal. 140th FA Cup final. You won't find too many better than that in the previous 139.
Well, that was the difference between the two sides. Remember, in the first half, Timo Werner probably had the ball in the same area on 2 or 3 occasions and missed his shot or had it blocked by Fofana. Tielemans runs onto it, hits it from a long way out, and as soon as he struck that, he knew it was going into the back of the net.
And Kasper Schmeichel repelled what followed with the help of some mass defending, but not desperate defending.
Well, actually, when you see the saves again, probably the first one was even better than the second.
The touch onto the post from Chilwell.
Yeah, probably didn't give him enough credit for that one. It looked as though it came off the post, but he got the slightest of touches on it. It would have gone in off the post into the net, but no, he got a great touch on it.
Well, of course, with the COVID protocols, it's a different presentation. No Wembley steps to climb, but the medals are just as special. It's help yourself time for the likely lads from Leicester. They have just won themselves one of the great prizes in the world game. And Mason Mount will have another loser's medal to take home and probably not look at But these are moments that come along so rarely, and for Leicester City it's unique. We've been hammering into you all day that they'd never won it before. 4 finals, 49, 61, 63 and 69, 52 years. And Wes Morgan, I didn't even put him in my notes, Stuart. He's not played for such a long period of time, but he's out there and he's done his bit. And there's another Schmeichel in the history of this wonderful competition. Kasper Schmeichel, superb today for splendid Leicester City. His club becomes the 44th different name on the FA Cup, and they've beaten Chelsea so dramatically to do so. The FA Cup goes to Leicester City at long last. Well, you mentioned, Stuart, about they are a big club now. It could have looked a fluke 5 years ago winning the league. It was an extraordinary season. The other bigger clubs took their eye off the ball, really, and Leicester punished them for it. But they've built for more, and today they've got more.
They certainly have. When you look back at those old clips we were watching before the game of them losing to Manchester City all those years ago, they weren't a big club then. They were a middle of the table, first division club as it was. But they have been brilliant, haven't they, over the last few years. Different managers, have to give credit to Pearson, who kept them up. Obviously Claudio Ranieri, they won the title with, and now with Brendan Rodgers. What a great moment this is for these players and this club and the fans that turned up today.
Well, the final thought, yeah, there are winners and losers, and such proud winners here as they're entitled to be, Leicester City, and Chelsea have accepted the defeat sportingly. But above all else, the game of football has benefited so much. It's a massive step to bringing back the crowds, to getting to close to full stadia again, to give the game full throttle back to the watching world. But Leicester City found full throttle here today, and Jamie Vardy has got himself through every round in the past. This was a hurdle that not only his club hadn't climbed, but he hadn't climbed. He's done that. And the only hard part for Leicester is, hey lads, you got Chelsea again on Tuesday, and it matters. There might be £40 million at stake getting into the Champions League. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage. From Stuart Robson and myself, Martin Tyler, until the next time, from a very, very exciting FA Cup final, goodbye to you all.